Craig Ray and Peace Walker Project, and we're doing some case studies. And today we got Todd Hendricks, and we're talking a little bit about kind of the Peace Walker methodologies and perspective and how part of your journey, I suppose, and both before, a little bit of during, and after. And I don't know, what about how you utilize some of this perspective of the verbal de-escalation and some of the kind of this perspective of being a protector in that with your career? I mean, you're in a fairly new career with being a realtor, and that can be very stressful. Obviously, you're kind of out there bringing home the bacon, one commission sale at a time, and dealing with sometimes volatile deals and people and buyers and sellers and all that. But do you have any insights to share on that stuff?
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest things is holding that even-keeled emotional state. Is like you said, there are deals that are volatile. You get a phone call right when we're setting up, and that's a volatile deal with an emotional client. And if I feed into the emotionalness of that or the volatility of it, then it just kind of all goes to heck. But if I maintain that baseline, then the client can come back to me and feed off of my calmness. Mm-hmm. And so just maintaining that emotional baseline of calm, cool, and collected all the time, then I can be a source of strength for that client.
Well, it's challenging. I mean, for instance, like right now, we've been recording all day, like 8 hours, and my camera guy just lets me know it's possible that we lost all the footage due to electronic malfunction, and I'm pissed right now. I don't know but there's just a great real life example, right? So I'm like doing everything I can to breathe, and like I hope we don't have to redo all that, managing people's schedules and locations, and then all the content, and a full day of shooting in that. So is it going to work out? Of course it's going to work out, but it's so easy to let our emotions kind of pull us in to this kind of irrational standpoint, or state rather. So I totally get it. If we don't have baseline, and it's so easy to go down those roads, especially during conflict, especially when you're not getting your own way, when things aren't rolling the way you want them to, when people aren't doing what you want them to do, it can be very challenging if you don't have the skills to kind of recalibrate. And even if you do have the skills, to utilize them, it's crazy. So, what about your personal life?
Personal life. Well, I love my wife. Love her dearly.
Well, having kids and all that. I mean, I've been. I haven't had kids. I'm not married. I don't have kids. I've seen a couple people over the years who have children. The gal that I'm seeing right now has 4 daughters. I use Peace Walker tools every single day, right?
Yeah, that I was going to say, it's usually with the kids because, stepping on a Barbie shoe can be infuriating for the 3rd time in a day.
Yes.
And it's like, Daddy said, pick that up, an hour
5
ago.
5 times.
3 Band-Aids ago. But again, maintaining that calm, cool, collected, okay, what did I say to do? Have you done that yet?
Right.
How come it hasn't happened, and what are you going to do to fix this problem?
Right.
Those are my 4 questions.
Like now.
Yeah, and I run through those questions. I mean, it was something that I learned from my career in education, but I use it at home, and I use it enough, especially with my littler one, that she knows what I'm going to say. Okay, why did you do that? I don't know. What are you going to do to fix that? Well, I better do this and this and this. Okay, can you do that, or does Daddy need to do that? No, I can do that. Okay, all right. Because if Daddy has to fix it, it's a whole other ballgame.
It's a whole different story. But it's very true. I mean, having the clarity and calm demeanor to be able to lay down that format rather than just flying off the handle and getting upset.
Right.
And not being clear about expectations or boundaries or anything like that. It happens over and over with adults. I can't tell you how many times I get hired to come into like offices and that type of thing. And you would think the adults would have the experience to have a level head and a plan, and articulate their boundaries well, and or give somebody the tools to do what you want them to do. Because if I can't give you the foundation of, well, here's what I want, here's how we're going to get there, are you on board or not? Because if you're not on board and I got to do it myself or do something different, then that's a different story than you not having the tools to do what I would like for you to do.
Yeah. One of the interesting byproducts of being that calm, cool, and collected, even in the face of disciplining a child, is then they're not fearful of my reaction.
Right, absolutely.
So more often than not, I get, Daddy, I'm sorry, but I da-da-da-da-da.
Yes.
Better than, whoa, we better not tell Daddy because he's going to flip out.
Right.
So it's opened the line of communication between me and my daughters because, okay, they don't fear me anymore.
Right.
They still respect me, but they don't fear my reaction, and that's been huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Or, you get people lying because either they omit altogether, omit what's happening, or they lie, or they avoid, or they, in a work environment, they're not productive because they don't feel safe in the environment, and not necessarily physically safe, but emotionally safe, or like their job will be in jeopardy, or the manager or leader in the organization just won't listen to them or will react in a negative way, and it doesn't really stem good open communications. So I think everybody loses. The organization loses, the client, or if it's a student in an educational organization or a client in a business organization, lose, and each of the individuals lose. I think just across the board. Yeah. But again, it takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of clarity, and it takes a lot of confidence and skills. You can want it all you want, but you've got to have the skills to do it as well. Which I use the analogy a lot with the lifeguard analogy. You could have all the good intentions in the world of jumping in the water and saving that person, but without the skill of swimming, if you jump in, you're both dead, probably. Right. And that builds a lot of hesitation and a lot of other things. So there is a lot of that going on. That is like an old phone. How often do you hear like old phones? Because we're here at Todd's house, kind of chatting.
It's a telemarketer. It always is.
It's so funny. It's been so long since I've had a landline. I'm trying to think the last time I had a landline. It's probably early 2000s.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I kind of miss having a landline.
Yeah, but if you have a landline and then you leave your kids home to run to the store, you don't have to buy them a cell phone because they have a phone.
Yeah, you won't see me buy
that doesn't get any pictures.
No pictures, no a lot of things.
Parents, do not buy your kid a cell phone that can transmit pictures.
Oh, yeah, save yourself and the world a lot of hassles.
Yeah.
Now and in the future.
Because they will receive things you do not want them to see. Guaranteed.
Not to mention we just get hooked on all that stuff. Talk about baseline, right? I think a lot of us have how do I say? I think a lot of us have the chance to lose our baseline way more because of modern technology. Modern technology is awesome. However, it's also horrible if you don't know how to manage it.
Yeah.
Which brings us back to a lot of the stuff we're talking about. Bringing the Peace Walker platform online so it's available to people globally, because it sounds really kind of self-serving, or I don't want to be overly dramatic about it or overly inflated about it, but we've got people who are connected with this all over the world. So rather than having to be in the geographical area of me and what I'm doing, it's easier now to just connect online. So, and with the phones now that are so sophisticated with online capabilities, we have this community that right now is pretty small, but we'll continue to grow it. And hopefully you guys are part of that as well. But anyways, I appreciate you sitting down and chatting and reminiscing about landlines and all this, and how you're utilizing some of the kind of principles in that in your life, whether it's professional or personal. And you have anything to add in closing and last words?
When all else fails, Krav Maga.
Right. So it's good to have that backup. It's so funny because you wanna, if it could only be that easy. If we could solve our problems of the world by just hitting someone harder, it would be much simpler.
You laugh, but that is what the world is going to. If
I'd
watch
like
the
to
news,
think not,
yeah,
but
yeah.
And that's another reason why this whole initiative of getting this perspective out more so that we don't have to go there.
Yeah.
Go there if you have to, and you should have the capacity for it. But, should also be a last resort. So, anyways, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right. See you guys.